2. There is a silence that speaks louder than all the noise in the world. A moment when the outer life, with all its business achievements and expectations, no longer satisfies something deeper within. A subtle H rises, not from the body, but from the soul. It does not ask for more success or more praise. It asks for meaning. It whispers of something forgotten, something buried. That whisper is not weakness. It is the first sign of awakening, not of the mind, but of the soul. From the moment we become conscious, we are taught to seek meaning in the external world. We are shown symbols of success, beauty, and belonging. And we are told that happiness lies in their pursuit. We strive to become what others expect, and in doing so, we slowly forget who we are. But true awakening begins not when we gain more of the world, but when we begin to question it. It starts as a quiet discomfort, a whisper within the soul that says, this is not all there is. That whisper is often drowned out by noise, achievements, responsibilities, distractions, but it never fully disappears. One day, in silence or suffering, it returns with greater strength, and we realize everything we built outside may be impressive, but it does not answer the H within. This is where the inward journey begins. To look inward is not an escape. It is the most courageous act a person can take. It means turning away from the masks we wear, the roles we play, and the praise we chase. It means entering the unknown territory of the self, the dreams, the shadows, the wounds we have long avoided. In that darkness, we do not find perfection. We find truth. We meet the parts of ourselves we rejected, the desires we silenced, the fears we buried. And yet, we also begin to discover something eternal, a center that does not shift with the world. It is quiet but strong, hidden but present. That center is the soul. The world outside is important, but it is incomplete. Without inner awareness, even the grandest achievements feel hollow. Without self-knowledge, even love becomes a performance. But when we awaken within, we begin to live with authenticity. We no longer chase approval, we move with purpose. We no longer seek to impress, we seek to align. True awakening does not promise peace without struggle. In fact, it often brings more questions than answers. But those questions are honest. They lead us not to comfort, but to clarity. This kind of awakening is not a single moment. It is a process, a slow unfolding of the self, a stripping away of illusion, a return to the center. And once we taste it, we cannot go back. The world may remain the same, but we are not the same within it. And so, the journey continues, inward, always inward, toward wholeness, toward truth, toward the soul that waited patiently all along. From the earliest stages of life, we begin to shape ourselves in response to the world around us. A child quickly learns what behaviors are rewarded, which emotions are allowed, and which truths are better hidden. This is the beginning of the mask. Not one we choose consciously, but one we wear out of necessity. Over time, this mask becomes more refined. We learn to smile when we are breaking, to stay silent when our soul longs to speak, and to become who the world expects rather than who we truly are. This constructed image is known as the persona, the face we show to society. It allows us to function, to fit in, to be accepted. And in many ways, it serves an important role. It protects us, and it helps us navigate complex social worlds. It gives us a name, a title, a position. But this same mask that allows us to survive can also become the very thing that disconnects us from ourselves. The danger is not in the persona itself. It is in the belief that it is all there is. When we forget that the persona is a creation, not our essence, we begin to live a divided life. One part moves through the world, performing, pleasing, adapting, while the other part, the deeper self, retreats into silence. That deeper self is the soul, raw, unfiltered, whole. It does not speak in performance. It does not need validation. It simply is. The soul waits behind the mask, not angrily, not impatiently, but with a quiet endurance. It watches as we go through roles and identities, sometimes feeling the quiet ache of disconnection, sometimes screaming through dreams, through emotions we don't understand, through the restlessness we cannot name. We call it burnout. We call it depression. We call it emptiness. But sometimes it is the soul reminding us, this is not who you are. To remove the mask is not easy. It means unlearning years of adaptation. It means confronting the parts of ourselves we've buried. The anger, the grief, the fear, and even the joy we deemed too much for others. It means sitting with the discomfort of not knowing who we are without the performance. But it is only through this courageous act that we begin to remember. The journey inward, beyond the persona, is not glamorous. It does not promise applause, but it promises truth. And the truth is, we are far more than what we show. We are more than our roles, our achievements, our reputations. Behind every mask is a living, breathing soul, longing not to be fixed or improved, but to be seen. Ironically, when we start to live from the soul, from that deep inner authenticity, the world does not collapse. In fact, life begins to feel more alive. Our connections deepen. Our voice becomes clearer. Our actions become aligned. We no longer chase approval because we are no longer seeking ourselves in the mirror of others. To look behind the persona is to begin the journey toward wholeness. Not to destroy the mask, but to recognize it as just one layer of a far more complex, more beautiful self. The persona may still be used as a tool, not an identity. The difference is awareness, and with awareness we become free. So when the outer world feels hollow, when the roles become heavy, and when the smile no longer reaches the soul, listen. Not with your ears, but with your being. That discomfort may not be something to escape. It may be your soul reminding you that you are more than the mask you wear. Suffering is often seen as the enemy of life, an uninvited guest that disturbs the peace and rhythm of our days. We resist it, numb it, silence it with distraction or medication. It frightens us because it reminds us that all is not well, that something within or around us has broken from harmony. Yet if we pause and truly listen, suffering may reveal itself not as punishment, but as a message, a quiet whisper from the depths of the soul. Pain is not always chaos. Sometimes it is clarity disguised as discomfort. We live most of our lives on the surface, responding to what is urgent, fulfilling expectations, wearing the mask that fits our roles in society. But beneath that surface is a deeper world, rich with meaning, fear, longing, and truth. That inner world, the world of the soul, does not speak in the language of logic or efficiency. It speaks through symbols, feelings, and often through suffering. When the soul is unheard for too long, it begins to ache. That ache may appear as restlessness, depression, anxiety, or a sense of being lost. These are not always signs of weakness or failure. They are often signals that something within us is out of alignment, so that we have wandered too far from our inner truth. Suffering has the power to break the illusion of control. The idea that if we simply follow the rules, life will unfold in a neat and predictable line. But the soul does not follow linear paths. It spirals, dives, retreats, and returns, not according to external timelines, but according to an inner rhythm that we are often too busy to hear. In the moment of deep suffering, the outer world loses its color. Achievements feel hollow, praise feels distant, and the persona we've carefully constructed begins to crack. It is in this cracking that light enters, not the blinding light of certainty, but the soft glow of insight. Awakening is often imagined as a single dramatic event, a moment of blinding clarity, an arrival at a higher state of consciousness. But in reality, awakening is rarely an arrival. It is not a mountaintop experience from which life becomes effortless and clear. It is a beginning, often subtle, often painful, that marks the start of a long and winding journey inward. This journey is not about becoming something new. It is about remembering what was always there, hidden beneath layers of conditioning, fear, and illusion. It is not about reaching some final state of perfection. It is about becoming whole. Not by escaping darkness, but by embracing it. This is the essence of integration. To integrate is to gather the lost, rejected, and silenced parts of the self and bring them into conscious awareness. It is to welcome what we have pushed away, to face what we have feared, and to love what we believed was unlovable. The journey of integration is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is slow, personal, and deeply honest. It begins when the mask of certainty begins to crack. Often, awakening is triggered not by bliss, but by rupture. A loss, a failure, a breakdown. These moments shake the foundations of the constructed self. They reveal the fragility of the roles we've played and the identities we've worn. And in that exposure, something ancient stirs within. The deeper self that has waited patiently behind the noise. This deeper self does not speak in words. It speaks in symbols, in dreams, in longings that defy logic. It calls us inward, not to abandon the world, but to meet it with authenticity. But before we can live from this place, we must confront what stands in the way. We must meet the shadow, the parts of ourselves we have denied, repressed, or disowned. These are not inherently evil, they are often powerful energies that were simply labeled unacceptable early in life. Anger, grief, sensuality, vulnerability. When not acknowledged, they slip into the unconscious and distort the way we see ourselves and others. The work of integration is to bring light to the shadow, to face the parts of ourselves we do not want to see, and to realize they, too, are us. This process is not comfortable, but it is necessary, because what we do not face controls us from the dark. Awakening, then, is not a singular shift. It is a cycle of descent and return. We descend into the unconscious to retrieve the lost fragments of our being. We return to the surface with more clarity, more compassion, more depth. And each time, we come back a little more whole. In this way, awakening is not about leaving the ego behind. It is about reshaping it, so that it becomes a servant of the soul rather than its master. It is not about destroying the personality, but refining it, making it transparent enough for the inner truth to shine through. The world may tell us to move fast, to succeed, to appear strong, but the soul moves differently. It asks us to slow down, to go inward, to question the very foundation of who we think we are. It asks for honesty, for humility. Integration is the spiritual alchemy of turning pain into wisdom, fear into presence, fragmentation into wholeness. And it cannot be rushed. There are no shortcuts, no final destinations, only deeper levels of self-awareness, of truth of alignment. Each step inward reveals more layers. Each breakthrough brings a new challenge. But through this process, something sacred happens. We begin to live from the center, not from fear, not from performance, but from a quiet knowing that we are enough as we are. And so, if you seek awakening, do not look for fireworks. Look for the moments when you pause, when you reflect, when you choose honesty over illusion. Look for the times when you stop running and finally turn to face yourself. Because awakening is not the end of the path. It is the path itself. There is a longing in every human heart to fix the world, to correct its injustices, to remove its chaos, to bring light to its darkness. We look to governments, to systems, to other people. We demand change, progress, and reform. Yet rarely do we turn the question inward. What within me must first be changed? The outer world is but a mirror, a grand projection of the collective inner state of mankind. Every conflict, every injustice, every act of destruction. These are not isolated events. They are reflections of unconscious forces that live within the human psyche. And until those forces are recognized, faced, and integrated, the world will remain a battlefield. No matter how many surface-level changes are made. Transformation begins not in the streets or systems, but in the shadowy corners of one's own soul. To change the world, one must first dare to confront the inner chaos. The pride, the fear, the hatred, and the woundedness that quietly shape how we see others, how we treat those we disagree with, how we judge, exclude, or dominate. There can be no true peace in the world if a man is at war within himself. This is why the deepest kind of awakening is not about escape or enlightenment in the clouds. It is about descent into the unknown parts of the self. It is about uncovering the masks we wear, the lies we've told ourselves, and the parts we've exiled because they were too painful or unacceptable. Only when we become conscious of what moves us can we choose differently. Otherwise, we continue to act out our unconscious contents, and the world suffers the consequences. When a person becomes whole, not perfect, but whole, something subtle yet powerful happens. Their presence begins to shift the atmosphere. Their choices ripple outward. Their authenticity invites others into their own truth, and without forcing change, they become an agent of it.